This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3, lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht edition live on Facebook. Tonight we have with us a lovely Sam Welie, and we have our usual fun and games with This Day in History, Matt Goes Dutch, and Tracy Tidbits, so make sure you stay tuned.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht edition. Here we are again, and it's all three of us. Welcome back, Matt.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here.
Guten
It felt
Abend.
a little strange. It was like one of our limbs was missing, wasn't it, Tracy?
Yes. For me, it was my left arm.
Oh, okay.
To be specific, yes.
I don't know if I can beat that. Well, I couldn't anyway. I can't even say it. So, but did you have a lovely holiday?
I did. I ate a lot, I drank a lot, but I balanced it with walking a lot as well, so I feel that's good.
Excellent.
That's the thing with Germany, because you can eat a lot and drink a lot, but you can also walk a lot. It's kind of the
Can.
perfect combination, really. Yes,
I
hurrah.
just had some smoked beer. Have you ever had that?
Oh, no.
Was that
It was
nice?
very weird. I mean, the first few sips were not nice, but after that, it was okay.
Do they brew it on a barbecue?
There's like a smoked log going while it's being brewed. Like it's a specialty of Bamberg.
Wow, interesting.
Oh.
I'm sure it's very nice. Like you say, after a couple of sips, it's funny how most alcoholic drinks.
But like
can
when you
taste
can
after
just, as soon as it comes near you, you can smell it. You can smell the smoke. It's a bit weird.
Wow, but nice. I like German beers though. I love the big froth that you get on the top. You know, very very. So
I like a good schnitzel.
oh yeah. For me, it's Apfelstrudel. That's probably my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Although
Apfelstrudel.
is that Austrian or Germany? There's always a bit of a discussion about where it originated. But whenever I go to Germany, I always find Apfelstrudel on the menu, and it's always very good. So I'm
Yes.
German.
Yes. Well, we're very lucky to be so close to Germany, of course. It's and especially here in Maastricht, we can just nip across the border. Well, I don't know about it at the moment, actually.
Not at the moment, no.
It's all a bit hit, or it has been a bit hit and miss for the last year. But as soon as we are able to go, then certainly recommend it to everybody. Go and have a whiz. Well, you can't really whiz around Germany. It's quite big, isn't it? But certainly drive through, enjoy the food, enjoy the beer, and tonight we are going to be enjoying Sam from the Expat Centre because she's going to be joining us later. Now, Sam, for those of you who do not know, she is the guru of Maastricht as far as living here is concerned. She's been doing it a very, very long time. I think she's been here over 30 years. She's been working at the Expat Centre for a long time. So if you have any questions about moving to Maastricht or even moving to the Netherlands generally, what you need legally, about health insurance, about buying a house or anything like that, just send your questions in. Sam's going to be here in half an hour and we'll put all of these questions to her. And if we don't get all the questions in now, you can always contact her at the Expat Centre, but she will be with us later. We've already got a welcome back, Matt, from Eric. He says it's nice to have your voiceover.
Thank you, Eric.
You have been missed, Matt, not just by us. So that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
And tonight, yes, as Matt says, we've got our usual segments going on. We've got one that we've also missed a couple of weeks as well, which is going to be Matt's review, which is going to be coming up later. But as per usual, we have a theme, and tonight's theme is birds. We decided we would talk about our feathered friends this evening. And I have to confess, I brought this up as a theme because I have to show you this. A very, very nice friend of mine sent me a card, and it was just out of the blue. She sent me a card just to say hi and thank you for being my friend, which is a very, very sweet thing to do. But I was really touched by the picture, actually. It's a parrot. I just absolutely love this picture. It's just such a lovely, bright, colourful picture.
Yes, he's a happy-looking parrot, indeed.
He is a happy-looking parrot, and that got me thinking. Well, birds in general, people keep birds, people people like to go and watch birds out with their binoculars, and here in South Limburg, it's quite a good place to do that, of course. But it got me thinking about favourite birds. Now, our Matt, we already know, has a favourite bird, because that particular shirt that he's wearing, we have seen before, haven't we, Matt?
Yes, we have.
I can't remember why. Yeah.
It's
Can you see them?
flamingos. And he's also got flamingos behind him as well. So tell us, what is it about flamingos, Matt?
I don't know. They're just quite like elegant. They hold their necks up high and they walk around quite slowly. And they sort of, well, they don't really. They sort of choose to be the color they want to represent themselves as, because they're not actually pink. Shock horror. The pink thing comes from eating like certain algae, which turns their feathers pink. So if you ever see a baby flamingo, it looks very weird. It's like, they don't belong together. That can't be the same, but it is. So yeah, and they also do these big, I don't know what you call them, like dance parade things to show off to each other, and they're like all like symmetrical and all. What's the word? Can't speak English today. Sorry. That coordinated.
Coordinated. Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. So I just think they're quite cool. They're just quite interesting birds.
Excellent. So it sounds to me, Tracy, that if Matt was going to be reincarnated, he would want to come back as a flamingo.
I think so. And I think he'd make a mighty fine flamingo as that.
Thank you
I
very much.
think you're absolutely right. So Tracy, birds for you. A fan?
Yes, I tend to have a soft spot for most birdies, actually, to be honest with you. So, to choose one, it seems unfair, really. They're also lovely. I do have a soft spot for the penguin. I also love the birds of prey. If you've seen kestrels and buzzards and, eagles, they're just such stunning creatures. But I also love our little garden birds, like our, blue tits and robins that come by to eat from our feeders. So I love them all.
You do, and actually, for those who follow Tracy, of course, they'll know that she, as a keen photographer, is always taking pictures of the wildlife in the area. And quite often, there will be some lovely birds that you take photographs of, but I suspect it's not easy to do.
No, well, my nemesis is the kingfisher. So also very, very beautiful bird, but so difficult. First to find, second to spot it all, and to take a photograph can take several hours. Believe me, I've been there. So yes.
Well, we'd love to hear from anybody else out there who's a keen wildlife photographer. Maybe you've got some fantastic pictures of birds that you can send us. Or maybe just tell us what your favourite bird is. I have to say, and I'm a little bit biased here, I love a peacock. I'm a big fan of the peacock, and people who will know why I'm a little bit biased, because it was about a year ago that we were invaded by a family of peacoks who actually made an appearance on the show, didn't they? Yes, they came wandering into my kitchen while we were broadcasting. And they actually belonged to a neighbour of ours, and they'd escaped for a couple of weeks and took up residence here. But they are spectacular. When those feathers go up in the air, they look absolutely stunning. Barry's in the house. Hello, Barry. He says, welcome to the Netherlands. Welcome in the Netherlands, so to speak. So lovely to have you with us, Barry. And Rogier, is this the English community in Maastricht? Well, it's a small part of it, I would say, but we're not all English.
We're not.
Originally, I am English. We've got Tracy, who comes from Ireland, and we've got Matt that comes from Wales. So we're a bit of a mixed bag here, but we would love to know where the rest of you are from. Adam's with us as well. Good evening, Adam. Lovely to have you with us as well. If you're not from anywhere in the UK or Ireland, where are you from? Let us know. This is your English-speaking community radio show, of course, so we would love to know, where else are you from? And don't forget, we've got Sam from the Expat Centre, who will be joining us later to answer all of your questions about living here in the Netherlands. But before we get there, I think it's probably time for us to find out about Matt's review. So Tracy,
yes,
you picked an album for Matt to review this week. What was the album?
Indeed. Let's hope I'm doing this at least at the right time. So here we go. This is the album I chose for Matthew last week while you were away, but we sent you the information. This is Nick Waterhouse, and the album is Never Twice. So curious to see what you thought about that, Matthew.
Before Matt answers this question, I have to say I hadn't heard of this artist either, and so I was very excited to listen.
Also heard of it, of course. I usually don't never hear of it. So it was a complete unknown for me, also. So I didn't really know what to expect. I just sort of judged from the picture that maybe it was, I don't know, 50s or 60s. I don't know. Is that correct?
Well,
No,
sort of. He isn't from the 50s or 60s, but his style is based a little bit in the rhythm and blues from that period, I guess. So you weren't far off.
But is he like now? Is he current?
He's current, yeah.
He was born in 1986.
Oh. Well,
He's new.
Well, no, I quite enjoyed this album. Like I said, I didn't come in with any expectations. So it was quite rhythm and blues, very laid back and quite chill. It sort of reminded me of, like, I don't know, cocktail music, cocktail lounge music, which is quite nice. You can just like relax it back and chill. And there wasn't much singing. I was expecting more singing. It was a bit more instrumental.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
Good for a dinner party.
Yeah, so I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Some inspiration for your next party then, Matthew.
Little soiree. I have to tell you, Tracy, to give you an idea of what I thought about this album, I've actually downloaded all of his albums.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
That's how much I like this album.
I only have the one, so there we go. That's very impressive.
I have all of his stuff now. So
Nick, if you're watching, let me know. It seems I'm promoting you very well. So Joe, you're a fan then, I see.
I thought it was very good. Yes, very, very good. I got very excited about Mr. Waterhouse. So yes, I'm going to be following him now. So yes, all good. So I assume, Matt, you were back in your normal position of cooking in the kitchen when you were listening to this album.
No, dinner was already cooked, so I was while getting the dinner out of the fridge and eating the dinner, I was listening to the music.
Excellent. So how many Mats out of 5 would you give this one?
Out of 5 now.
Oh, sorry, out of 10. God, he's away for 2 weeks and I don't know what's going on.
He was away for 3 weeks. Oh my goodness.
See?
Numbers.
Do you know what? I'm just going to have another sip of wine here.
I decided to give it an 8.
Oh, good solid 8 there, Trace.
Solid 8. We'll take that any day. Sounds good. Awesome. Excellent.
Excellent stuff. Okay. Well, that was Tracy's pick for Matt. I've got one for him for next week. And actually, as Nick Waterhouse was born in 1986, I decided to go back to the 80s, actually, for an album for Matt to review. Now, I've got to tell you, this particular band, it's their debut album, and they caused quite a stir when they first came on the scene. In fact, the first single that was released from this particular album was banned by the BBC.
Bum, bum, bum.
Ta-da!
Yes. So immediate cult status then.
Well, immediately went straight to number 1. That's what happened. You ban anything from the radio, everybody goes out and buys it. And it also inspired a load of T-shirts. Everybody was wearing these particular T-shirts, big white baggy T-shirts that said, relax.
Oh, God.
I'm talking about Frankie Goes to Hollywood. So this particular band, when they first hit the scene, they brought out a song, and Barry's asking, is it a song about COVID? No, a little bit early for that, I'm afraid, Barry. But caused quite a stink, just like COVID has, that's for sure. Now, this was Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and when they first came out, oh my goodness, there was a load of hoo-ha about the song Relax. The song was banned, the video was banned, it had to be edited before it actually ended up on MTV at the time. And of course, as I said, it got to number 1 straight away. So I am giving you this album, I think personally, Relax, I remember it well. I was a teenager at the time. I absolutely fell in love with this band when they first came out. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And Denise, is in the house. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Oh my God! And I'm out. Denise, please.
Is that a good or a bad reaction? I can't.
I don't know actually. Maybe it's a drop the mic situation. In which case, he's like, love it. You'll have to clarify, Denise. You'll have to clarify. But that is your album to review for next week anyway, Matt. So Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Okay. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome is the actual name of the album. Relax is the big hit on there. Two Tribes they followed up with that, which was also a big hitter as well. So let's see what you think. The guys are originally from Liverpool, and there's a little bit of chat from Liverpool on the album. That's a terrible Liverpool accent.
Terrible, Joe. Terrible.
Oh my God! I apologise to everybody from Liverpool.
I'm embarrassed for you.
I'm gonna go now.
Stick with Yorkshire. Stick with the Yorkshire one.
I go back in I can do my Yorkshire. That's yeah.
I love it.
She's coming over all funny.
I know. It rivals Jason's southern accent, I must say.
Oh, does it now? Oh, okay. Well, but maybe we should have an accent off on the show at some point. Let's see who's got the best accent. We'll get everybody with a really strong accent from all different countries to come onto the show, and we can vote for the best accent. Okay, although that might actually alienate some people, of course. So maybe that's not such a good idea.
Moving on.
Moving swiftly on. There's one thing we did want to announce actually. For those of you who tuned in last week, we had Robert de Koning on, our wine guru, and he made an announcement about a wine festival that was going to be happening at the end of the month. Well, we got very excited about it. He was very excited about it. We were looking forward to this at the end of the month. In fact, some of us bought our tickets. We were going to be having a Maastricht edition outing. And then we found out today, Tracy, didn't we? It's been cancelled.
It has been cancelled. Well, actually, it has been postponed. So it's now going to happen in the weekend of the 5th of August, 2022. So that's a long time to wait for a glass of vino. So yeah, sadly, no fest in Maastricht this month for the wine, which is a great shame. But I guess they had their reasons. So we'll have to wait for next year, perhaps.
Yeah, the reasons are because of the government guidelines. They've had to cancel the festival, which is a shame. But of course, many festivals in Maastricht have been cancelled this year, as of course they have everywhere. So we were actually very excited. I think just because it was somewhere to go, we were very excited. Never mind the wine.
Well, it was also a bit about the wine, I think.
Well, it does call us, doesn't it, Tracy? It does call us.
You know,
but of course, yeah. Sorry,
no, that was it. No, sorry. Yeah,
she's reaching for a wine. See, this is what happens. She's automatically reaching for a wine. But I was just going to say, we may not be able to go to the wine festival, but you still can go to Robert de Koning's shop on the Rekstraat in the Wine Winkel Wick. And if you haven't seen last week's show, you can catch up with that on our YouTube channel, and you will get all the information there about the lovely wine that he sells in his shop. Biological wine at that. And I can tell you from experience, you don't get a hangover from it.
Oh, okay.
You're a responsible drinker, of course.
I'm a very responsible drinker, that's why. Yes, that's exactly why. Well, anyway, before we get Sam on, and we've got loads of questions we've got here to put to Sam this evening. She's going to be on in about 15 minutes. So if you do have any questions about living in the Netherlands, how to register here, health insurance, buying or renting a house, anything like that at all, then send your questions in. We will put them to Sam in about 15 minutes time. We do have a lot of questions here already, but we will try and fit them in. But as I said, if we don't get them in this evening, Sam is happy to answer them through the Expat Centre. But before we get to that excitement, I think it's time for us to chill down a little bit. And Matt, you've missed this the last few weeks, of course.
I have.
You've been leaving it to Tracy to do the, I don't know what you call it. The singing.
Our jingle. Our improvised jingle.
Tracy's been left to try to do the jingle for this day in history. Tracy's obviously messed up the intro several times of the show. So bad Tracy. Tracy's just terrible. So I'm not going to participate this evening because I'm crushed.
Well, I don't think it's as harsh as that, to be fair.
I feel it is.
I just think we were missing. We were just missing Matt's tenor. That's all it was.
I've lost all confidence. I'm sorry. I'm bowing out.
Yeah.
I would say between the two of you, you are a sweet duet. Eurovision is calling. Yes, Matt, you definitely have been missed. But of course, it is time for the whole of Maastricht, nay, the Netherlands, to come to a grinding halt. It is time to relax, put your feet up, and let today's woes melt away, because it is time for This Day in History.
Boom.
Yeah. See, this is why we missed you, Matt. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. So today, it is Thursday, the 5th of August, 2021. And I'm going to take us back to 1891 because that was the world's first traveller's checks that were issued by the American Express. Now, I'm just going to put this to you, Matt. Do you know what a traveller's check is?
I do remember them. I don't remember when they disappeared, though.
Well, I think they're actually still around.
Oh, no.
I think some people still use them. Tracy, have you ever used a traveller's check?
I have never used nor had a traveller's check, so I honestly don't know if they're still in circulation or being accepted as tender. I'm not sure.
I remember using them as a kid, or my family using them as a kid, but certainly haven't used them for a long, long time. Now, of course, everything's happening in Japan this week, or has been for the last couple of weeks. In 1912, on this very day, Japan's first taxi cab service begins in Ginza in Tokyo.
Oh, I've been there. Oh, it's such a cool place. Ginza is very cool. It's the fancy neighbourhood. But anyway, moving on. Sorry, carry on.
Tracy gets very excited about Japan.
She does.
In 1914, a couple of years later, the first electric traffic light, was installed in the USA on the corner of East 105th Street and Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. It doesn't get any more exciting than that, really, does it? 1926, on this very day, Harry Houdini stays in a coffin underwater for 1.5 hours before escaping. I feel physically sick just saying those words. I get claustrophobic at the best of times. The idea of being in a coffin underwater. I love water. I have no problem with being underwater, but in a coffin underwater, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I think it might be even worse if you're in a coffin though underground. Sometimes I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
We're gonna have to move on. Oh my God. It's my own fault. I shouldn't have brought it up. Oh my God. What was I thinking? On this day in 1960, Burkina Faso, formerly Upper Volta, declares independence from France. And 3 years later, in 1963, Craig Breedlove sets the world land speed record in the Spirit of America at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. He was going 655 kilometers per hour. I can't get my head around that. You're in a car going at 655 kilometers an hour. Yeah. That's just scary. That's really, really scary. In 1974, the US President, Richard Nixon, admits he withheld information about the Watergate break-in, and we all know what happened there. The following year, in 1975, Stevie Wonder signs a $13 million contract with Motown. I was thinking about Stevie Wonder the other day. We haven't heard from him for a while. He's been very quiet. I hope he's okay. He's one of my favourites.
Right. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So if anybody knows Stevie Wonder, could you just sort of like say hello, give him a poke, tell him we're all thinking of him, whatever, where is he, what's he up to? Because he just seems to be very quiet. 1985, on the 5th of August, the establishment of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is announced. And a year later, in 1986, well, we know Nick Waterhouse was born, we established that, but it's also revealed that Andrew Wyeth of Chadsford, Pennsylvania, had secretly created 240 drawings and paintings of his neighbour.
Ooh.
That's a bit creepy.
It's a bit creepy.
Her name was Helga Testorf.
Oh, I see. Wow.
240 drawings. Very weird. 2013, on this very day, the world's first bovine stem cell lab-grown burger is eaten in London. I'm just going to say that again. The first bovine stem cell lab-grown burger. It's a bit of a mouthful. Excuse the pun.
Oh, dear.
On this day in 2017, the Jamaican sprint superstar Usain Bolt finishes third behind Justin Gatlin and Christian Coleman in his final individual race, the 100 metres at the World Championships in London. Now, I just have to say, when I found this out, I'd never heard of him finishing third in anything. I seem to remember that he was first in everything.
Yeah, he won a lot, but
He did.
On the outside, he did win a lot, but I guess not everything. So,
No.
but wrong, nothing to be
Is that
ashamed
the end
of.
of his career? Is that...
Yes,
Possibly.
that was it. And he's playing football now, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the States. 2018, on this very day, the Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull declares, now we are a land of droughts, as 99% of New South Wales was affected. They have been having a hard time over there.
They
The
have.
following year, 2019, in July, it's confirmed as the world's hottest ever month recorded, according to Europe's can't even say it. Thank you. There's no hope, is there? There's no hope at all. Like, this is why we miss you, Matt. You help me when my teeth don't work properly. And finally, in 2019, the Brazilian drug dealer Clovino da Silva tries and fails to escape the Rio de Janeiro jail by dressing up as his teenage daughter in a silicone mask and wig.
Good grief. Wow.
There's a film there, isn't there? There's a film, surely. Someone's got to make a film about this. That just seems bizarre. There's so many questions. How did the mask and wig get in? What size is he compared to his his teenage daughter?
Well?
I don't know that much of the story. But it possibly, I mean, it's, it's got fail written all over it. God knows what he was thinking. Totally bizarre. Right, let's have a look at some birthdays. On this very day in 1930, Neil Armstrong, the American pilot and astronaut, and you may know him as the first man on the moon, was born. In 1961, Pat Smear, the American rock guitarist with the Foo Fighters, was born in Los Angeles, California. 1964, Adam Yorch, the American rap rock vocalist from the Beastie Boys, was born. And finally, in 1968, Colin Steele McRae, the British rally driver legend, was born in Lanark in Scotland. And a big shout out to Patricia Chamel from the girls at the IWC, the International Women's Club. They're wishing you a happy birthday today, Patricia. And happy birthday to anybody who's celebrating a birthday today. Hope you're having a lovely time wherever you are in the world. Happy birthday. And that was this day in history. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very nice.
Renee's in the house. He says hello. Is it he or she? I can never tell with the name Renee. You'll have to clarify. And I'm trying to look at your picture, but it's a bit twisted. If I'm honest, it's a bit twisted. I think it's a bloke. If I've offended you because you're a girl, I'm really sorry. But hello.
Oh, God.
Maybe I should turn my phone. It's difficult to tell. It's such a small picture. I've got this tiny, tiny little picture like this. Hello. It's lovely to have you with us. It really is. And I think we're probably time for the news now. What do you think, Trace?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Yes, thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's August 5th, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and things will continue to remain changeable with a mix of sunny spells and rain showers over the coming days, along with the chance of thunderstorms on Sunday. Temperatures will reach 22 degrees. However, as of next Tuesday, more summer-like weather is expected in Limburg, with lots of sunshine and temperatures reaching 28 degrees. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. Limburg police have issued a warning in relation to several thefts that have been committed in the Hooverland area this past week. A woman with a child rings the doorbell and employs a chat trick scam. While keeping the residents talking, a third person sneaked into the house. The thieves have struck in Mayer, Sinterkraut, Reimersstock and Gronsveld, amongst other locations. Jewellery and money have been stolen. The woman is about 1.5 meters tall and speaks Dutch with a foreign accent. The child is a boy and is about 12. If you have these scammers at your door, do not engage and call the police immediately. The province of Limburg is once again flagged red on the European corona map, having stepped down from the dark red category of last week. The rest of the Netherlands is now also code red. That said, the number of COVID-19 patients in hospitals across the country did increase today. There are now 673 COVID patients undergoing treatment. Authorities in Wuhan, from where the coronavirus is said to have emerged, have said they will test its entire population for COVID-19 after the central Chinese city of 11 million reported its first local infections in more than a year. A man from Eindhoven has been reprimanded in custody for at least 30 days for selling suicide powder to dozens of people. Alex S., who is 28, is suspected of helping people to commit suicide, of breaking the Medicines Act, and money laundering. At least 6 people are thought to have died after taking the powder he sold to them. Further investigations are still ongoing. A European Union atmosphere monitor has said that the Mediterranean has become a wildfire hotspot. Wildfires are currently raging in Greece and Turkey, where thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes. The fires have struck as a result of an intense heat wave, with some places in Greece recording temperatures of over 46 degrees. Scientists say that human-induced climate change is making heat waves more likely and more severe. And finally tonight, toy company Mattel has created Barbie dolls in honor of 6 women working in STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics around the world. The dolls feature healthcare workers, doctors, researchers and medics. Mattel wants to leverage Barbie's platform to shine a light on the efforts of such heroes. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble, and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Nicely done, our Trace.
Thank you, darling.
Lovely, jubbly. So we're going to get our Sam in from the Expat Centre very shortly. But before we do, I just wanted to ask, have you been following the Olympics?
Not really.
No.
It was on holiday.
That's true, yes. It's true, yeah. I think if you're away and you're not like, near a TV all the time, it's probably difficult. But if you're at home, it's kind of hard to avoid because it's pretty much on all the time. I've certainly been following it on the Dutch channel and on the BBC, of course. I find it quite exciting. So we're into the kind of track and field events now this week. And I think, we're almost kind of at the end. There's like 5 or 6 days left.
Yeah.
So,
last week,
yeah, indeed. It's whizzing along, but it's been quite interesting, not without controversy. Lots of medals, medals going to people who weren't expected to win the medals, and people who were expected to get gold didn't get the gold. So it's all very exciting, but it does seem that things are going pretty well. It's a bit of a weird Olympics, I guess, this year, but nice to see the sports on the TV. And
the Dutch have been doing very well, especially in the
cycling and hockey, as you'd expect.
The hockey team, who had been beaten by the Brits in the last Olympics, they got them back this year.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Indeed, yeah. But it's quite interesting. A lot of fun stuff to see, and the recaps in the later part of the evening are always fun because you kind of catch up on everything that sort of happened that day. So, Matt,
nice
if you want to
highlight,
get up to speed,
like
check out the highlights.
Now, I tell you what we like also is our Sam from the Expat Centre. So let's get Sam in. She's going to be joining us to talk about all things Maastricht and living here and how to live here and what you need to live here and so on and so forth. She's with us. We've got her here. Good evening, Sam.
Well, I can't see you yet, but I can hear you, so I suppose that's it.
Well, we can only hear you at the moment, but I think you're going to be your lovely picture will certainly pop up on our screens in a moment.
Yes, I should hope so. Do I? Wait a minute, I've got something with video out. Let's try video on.
That would help. Yes.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, come on. No, I can see my. Can you see me now?
No.
Not yet. At least we can hear Sam. This is already a good start.
This is a good. This is good. So we did a sound check earlier, and it was all working perfectly well.
Yes.
You're still with us, Sam?
I'm still there, but I can't see anything. I can see you, Joe.
Oh, well, that's good.
I can see myself now. Can you see me now?
You're coming through. There you are.
Oh, there we are. Now there's no sound. We're on stuck. Oh, and now I can see something.
No, I think it's just Joe's, isn't it?
Hello.
I think Joe seems to have stuck, in fact. Because
Joe's got stuck.
Sam.
Yes.
Yeah, or she's a really good freezing impression. So she could enter the Olympics at that.
Well, as soon as you joined, Sam, I disappeared.
Well, you're stuck, but we can hear you.
Oh, well, that's okay then. That's okay. So lovely to see you, Sam. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
How's the past year been for you?
Oh, carrying on. We've been we had a bit while we were shut, and then we started up at work again. And personally, I've been doing some things less and other things more. We're doing a lot more walking, a lot less running, things like that.
Excellent. So we probably should explain to people about the Expat Centre because it has moved. It used to be at Centre Ceramique, but now it has a new address, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've been in the Gemeente building for 2 years now, I think. We moved when we had to out of Centre Ceramique because of the renovations there. So we had to find somewhere else, and we moved to the Gemeente offices, originally temporarily, but I think we're probably going to stay, which has its advantages, but it does mean we're not quite as obvious to people who want to, because you've got to go into the Gemeente building, which is a pity. But I mean, it does have advantages. Once you're there, you can do something. You can go and get your driving license changed and come and talk to us, or go and get some biometrics done. You can do all sorts of things.
It's
a bit of everything.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop, even. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so well, listen, we've got loads of questions that are coming, so we probably should get cracking and go through them. But before we do, I just wanted to clarify something, because we talk about the Expat Centre and we talk about ourselves, we refer to ourselves as expats, but of course that is kind of a general term.
It's a very general term, yes. And sometimes you need to be fairly specific about certain categories of expats. So so it's not always entirely clear what is what. But in terms of registering at Maastricht, or in many of the cases for the IND, an expat is somebody who is here for work, and usually with a highly skilled migrant permit, or family of somebody on a highly skilled migrant permit, or somebody on a search year permit. It's not people who just moved like I did years ago because, well, my husband was here, so I came. Him being Dutch, of course. So we don't actually count as expats, although we feel like them, or we certainly felt like them then.
Yeah, it's certainly a very general term, isn't it? And I think probably for a lot of people, as soon as you say expats, you just recognise, oh, okay, this is somebody from another country. So everybody just gets put into the same box. But when as you say, when it comes to registering, we do have to be more specific about why we're here, how we're here, and what boxes we're going to be ticking when we register.
Well, we tend to use the term internationals quite often to try and include everybody: students, expats, labour migrants, everybody who is here for whatever reason.
Okay, so let's get down to the basics then. When somebody arrives here, do they have to register?
If they're going to be here for more than 3 months, yes.
Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
And that's irrelevant of whether they're working or if they're just living here?
Yes. The idea is that if you're here for at least 3 months, then you count as moving here. It does leave some people with a problem if they've got most of their life somewhere else. But then they've got to consider where is their real life, and therefore they're just staying here. And as far as Europeans are concerned, it doesn't really matter. Because we have the right to go wherever we like within Europe. But for anybody else, you really need to consider what you're going to do, why you're here, what you're going to do next, and so on.
And you have to do that at the Gemeente or the local council.
If you are an expat, you can register at Maastricht for all the South Limburg gemeentes, but normally, otherwise, you would go to the gemeente in which you live and register there.
Okay. And what is required when you actually go to register?
If you are from the EU, you just take your passport, your birth certificate, and you have to have some proof of where you're living. So either a sale of house contract, a rental contract, or some permission from somebody else whose house you happen to be living in at that moment, for them to say, yes, this person can live here for a while. And then you need a document with their signature and their passport. You can only register if you've got somewhere you can be registered at. You can't just come and register in a hotel or on a park bench or anything. You've got to have somewhere to live.
You need a residence. Okay.
But that can be a friend's residence.
It can be a friend's residence, yes. But bear in mind, if that friend is getting any kind of subsidy, it could affect their subsidy.
Okay. So that right. So okay, we're getting into tricky waters here then.
Yes. If you want to register with a friend, check up before you do so.
And that's when you call Sam, you see, so
yes,
you check these things and you make sure you know where you stand before you get into any difficulty or complications.
Yes, because you probably wouldn't, but the friend might, and then you would lose a friend.
But there, well, yes, you know, at the very least, who knows? But yeah, it's a very good thing, because I'm not sure if people know that the Expat Centre offers so much information about all manner of things, really. So it's a very good place to
We don't always know the answers, but we usually know a lot more than somebody who comes to the question. And we can say where you can find the answers, or at least give them somebody who is more knowledgeable than we are on specific things. But a lot of things, yes, we know the answers. We've had the questions so often, we know what the answer is.
We've had a question from Sue. She would like to know, can she register online?
Not exactly. You have to send in, since Corona, you have to send in a form online, and then with some documents, and then the gemeente or us, depending on what it is, will get in touch to make an appointment. for you to come and register in person. It's possible in other gemeentes in other parts of the country that you do a lot more online, but you always have to turn up in person to prove that you are who you are. You can't just do everything online.
Okay,
Indeed.
fair enough.
Makes sense.
We have a question about health insurance, actually. So you've registered, you've got your documents saying that you have registered at the Gemeente. But Eric is asking, does it matter which health insurance I go for?
It doesn't matter which specific company. The basic health insurance is exactly the same across the board and is determined every year by the government anyway. If you have some kind of underlying health problem, then it can make a difference, but that's only in terms of the extra packages that you might or might not want.
Okay.
However, to register for health insurance, you have to have a BSN number. So you have to be registered here. Without a BSN number, you can't have health insurance. And again, most people would have to have Dutch health insurance. There are some people that don't need health insurance, such as students, because they have health insurance from the country they come from, at least European ones. And certain kinds of people, they have to have international insurance rather than Dutch health insurance. There's not many, but there are certain groups of people, some PhD students, people working for maybe NATO, they'll have some kind of special insurance. So there are a limited number of people that don't need Dutch health insurance, but most people do. And as I said, it doesn't matter which one. There is a difference in price, but that depends on the company, how much of the various different options they're offering and how complicated they themselves are. You can
there is a standard package, though, that by law you have to have.
The basic insurance is the same, whichever company you have, yes.
Okay, so then it just depends, how much you
and
want
then,
to
of
add
course,
to it.
what you have. Yeah, that's true, because many people, I think they add on extra stars if they want a particular thing for teeth, for example, or if they want to have alternative therapies. So you have these stare police things that you can add on. But indeed, the basic one is the basic one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So BSN number is a vital thing. I think you can't even get a bank account if you don't have a BSN.
There are sometimes ways around this, but in general, no. You need your BSN number before you can open a bank account, before you can have health insurance. You need a BSN number to get a DigiD, which is a digital ID to get into doing your tax returns, or some health insurance companies require you to log on via DigiD. There are all sorts of things like that. What else did I think of? Oh, you need a bank account to get things like a personalized OV chip card. So you can't do that generally until you've got your BSN number.
So one thing sort of leads to another.
Yeah, exactly. So would you say then that there's sort of like a 5-step process as to what you do first? Like you register first, get your bank account second, get your health insurance third.
Yes, health insurance, it doesn't have to be determined immediately, but for most people they want a bank account. For Europeans it's less important because most of them will already have a Euro bank account from their own country. But if you come from somewhere else, you've got the IND process about the residence permit, and parallel to that is the registration. And once you've got your registration, you will be issued for the BSN number. And depending on the system by which you register, whether it's the fast track via the Expat Centre or a regular system via the Gemeente, it can take from 3 working days up to 3 weeks, even 4 weeks occasionally, to get the BSN number. So you've got to get on and organise it fairly early on.
But you can't do that before you move here?
Nope, you can send in the form, at least via the Expat Centre and via Maastricht, you can send in the form, but you can only register once your rental contract is started.
Okay.
And you're here. You've got to do it in person. So it's that combination.
Yeah. Okay. We have a question from Alison. Can British people still move here?
Can British people still vote here?
No, move. Not vote.
Move. Yes, you can move here, but you count as non-EU. So just as anybody from America or Canada or Australia or South Africa or Myanmar or Nigeria, Niger, all these places, you have to have a reason to be here. So you can't just move. You either have to have got a job or you have to have a partner who is
Right.
here, or you have to be studying, or in some cases you could be opening a business here, but there has to be a reason. And the other problem is now, as non-EU people, we've got the language aspect. So depending on if you come as a partner of somebody, it depends where your partner is from as to whether you have to learn Dutch before you arrive or not. It's a problem.
What level of Dutch will you need?
At the moment, A2, but come next year, B1.
Really? Wow.
But what does that actually mean for people who've got no idea about these numbers and letters?
A2 is basic conversation.
Okay.
What do you think of that garden? Oh, I think it's beautiful. There are some lovely blue flowers in it.
Right.
A1 is, what's your name? Thank you very much. How do you do? Where's the station? But A2 is basic conversation.
Okay.
B1 is the next stage up. So conversation gets a bit more complicated, and you need to be able to state your opinions on things. You need to be able to describe things better. Yeah, it's just an extra stage up.
Right.
It's a more useful level. B1 is a fairly useful level of any language. A2 is very limiting. So I understand why they've done it, but it just makes it a lot more complicated for everyone, especially here where everybody speaks English, even if you try and talk Dutch to them.
Sure.
And you have to have that before you arrive, or when you...
You have to do now with the new rules. All non-EU people have to. There are some alterations. If you happen to move here with a foreign partner or a Dutch partner, you've been living in another EU country beforehand, sometimes you can get away with it. But in general, if you have to do the Dutch before you come, you have to learn Dutch. You have to do it before you come. And you have to learn some basic stuff and do the exams before you come.
Really?
Or you do the inburgering. Now, as far as I am aware, inburgering, if you have to do that before you come, is not quite as complicated as inburgering if you have to do it when you're here. Because you can get away with at least, you don't have to do the job test. And I suspect you don't have to do the participation question, but you do need the Dutch level of Dutch. That's the important thing. So it's going to be more difficult.
Okay.
British people are going to have to come as highly skilled migrants, or they're going to have to learn Dutch.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got loads of questions, Sam, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get through all of them, but I am going to just give you one more. Can you, as an expat, buy a house here?
Yes, you can always do that, but you may not be able to live in it.
Oh,
excellent. That's useful.
You need a residence permit to be able to live in it permanently. So you need to have a reason to be here. Otherwise, you could buy it like a second home, as a holiday home. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what about as far as mortgages are concerned then? Are you able to easily get a mortgage from a bank?
I don't honestly know whether you can easily get a mortgage, but there are ways around it.
Okay.
I would have to talk to somebody, a mortgage provider. There are one or two companies that we have contacts with, so they would know the details of this. And I haven't actually followed it up much, but it is possible to. Yes, it's possible to get a mortgage, but I think it depends on where you're living and why you're coming, and probably if you wanted to have it without a residence permit, so it would be a second house, it'd probably be far more difficult to get a mortgage than if you were here, living here, and so on.
Well, let's quickly just touch on the residence permit then. So if people wanted to apply for residency, how long do they have to have lived here for?
No, they can. Residency is coming here and living here. Now, you know, if you're an EU person, you can come and live here anyway. You can apply for residency. You can register. That is effectively residency.
But that's temporary. That's not permanent. Is that right?
Well, it's temporary for 5 years, and then you can apply for another one.
Right.
And you carry on like that. But again, one of the things that is the difference between temporary and permanent is you have to be able to speak the language.
Right.
If you can speak Dutch, then you can get permanent residence, but otherwise you just keep on temporary residency.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Ad infinitum.
Do you know what, Sam? You've been absolutely brilliant. You really have. I mean, that is an awful lot of information to take in 15 minutes. I would highly recommend anybody who is watching the show this evening to watch it back again, because there is just so much there to know. And of course, Sam is available throughout the week at the Expat Centre. If people want to get in contact with you, Sam, what is the best way to do it?
Email, possibly, telephone, possibly, or the contact form on the website is the best, especially as we're likely to be there somewhat less often during the rest of August. Always the contact form on the website. And yeah, I mean, if you phone us, we might be busy doing something else, so it might be a while before you get an answer. You know, if we're talking to somebody at the desk or something. So yes, email,
persevere.
The contact form.
But do you think ideally you'd like people to make an appointment and come in and see you?
Well, except that that's not easy. We're only there Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
Right.
we're at the moment, until we're completely free and open again, which is probably going to be January, then it's easier to say, I'd like to make an appointment, and then we'll make the appointment. We'll contact you and make the appointment.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam. Well, thank you so much for being on this evening. You are this amazing mind of Maastricht, honestly. You're just brilliant how much you know. So anybody out there who wants to get in contact with Sam, make your appointment or give her a bell at the Expat Centre. And she's got a lot more to tell you, I can promise you. She'll be able to answer all kinds of questions. And before you go, Sam, just tell us, do you have a favourite bird?
A favourite what?
Bird.
No, but we were talking about flamingos earlier. So yeah, Matt's showing the flamingos off very well.
Excellent.
If there's any Americans out there can tell me why Americans are so fascinated with the flamingos, I would be pretty grateful to hear.
It's funny you should say that, because Connie's in the house. She's in Oregon at the moment, and she's just joined the show. So maybe, Connie, you can tell us, what is it that the Americans loves about flamingos? Why do they have these flamingo statues? Oh, she says her favourite bird is an osprey. So maybe she can't answer. Maybe she's not going to be able to answer that.
Nice.
Thanks ever so much, Sam. Lovely to see you as always.
Right.
Take care. We'll catch up with you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sam. Thank you.
Yes, Connie. Sam needs to know, why do Americans love flamingos and have them in their gardens? Flamingos are for pranksters.
Oh.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means.
What does it signify?
What is this? It says Matt sitting in his flamingo shirt.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the show. Sam has been brilliant, as always, but Matt's going to be even more brilliant because he's going Dutch now. What have you got for us this week,
I can't guarantee that, but this week, I told you earlier I didn't know much about the Olympics, but I looked it up for my segment. But I've still not actually. I think I've seen like one or two events. I watched the kayaking once. I'd never watched that before. It was quite fun, and that's what I like about the Olympics, the random sports. So I thought I'd look at how the Dutch are doing in the Olympics, what's going on there. Obviously this is Tokyo 2020. Technically it's 2021 Summer Olympics. And this year the Dutch sent their biggest ever team. So this 290 sports people were sent to Tokyo. That's the biggest team they've ever had. And they've qualified for 34 out of the 50 sports that are available to compete in. And the strongest sports, we spoke a bit about it earlier, are field hockey, women's football, sailing, various swimming events, various cycling events, and various rowing events. So very water-related strengths, which makes sense. I mean, the Netherlands is very knowledgeable about water, of course. And the aim of the Dutch team this year is to get into the top 10 in the medal table. And they are currently number 10 in the medals table, so they're currently on goal. But analysts are predicting that they will win around 48 medals, which would put them in 6th place on the table. So that's very good for quite a small country in the world. And so far, they've won golds in the men's quadruple sculls. Do you know what sport that is?
That's
It's rowing.
It is rowing. I have to look that up.
Tracy and I know what's going on.
Yes. Ireland won a gold in the double sculls last week. So
Yay. They won
Just
gold
putting it
in
out there.
men's cycling team sprint. And Annemiek van Vleuten won the women's road time trial. I think that's right. Niek Kimman won the men's BMX racing, despite colliding with an official and suffering a fractured knee. I think he suffered this fractured knee, not the official.
Oh
But
my
he still won a gold.
Wow.
So yeah, Kieran Badlow won the men's RS:X, which, do you know what that one is?
Cycling.
BMX.
No, sailing.
Oh, is it?
Oh, right. What's
I
going to be
don't know
next?
exactly what it means, but Sifan Hassan won the women's 5,000 meters. And
She
today,
did. Was really
Shanna
cool.
Grass Henning won the women's Kieran.
That's cycling.
That's his cycling.
I will watch that. Yes.
That's the one where they go round and round and inside, right?
Yes, in the velodrome. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's quite exciting.
It is quite good.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, guys, who do you support in the Olympics? I'm a bit torn.
Well, I don't actually support anybody personally. I just love watching everybody compete, and I think the atmosphere comes across quite well. And some of the commentators, they get very excited as well. That kind of draws you in. But the cycling are fun, good fun, especially the sprint. The sprint, where they go around three laps, and they start off very, very slow.
Mm.
Very, very slow, and then all of a sudden they pelt it towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Indeed.
it's good fun. I like it. It's good. Excellent. And I tell you what, I was watching because they've got lots of new sports. The wall climbing. Oh my goodness! It's like watching Spider-Man. Within seconds, they go from the bottom to the top. They go bang, hit the button at the top, and it's very exciting.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
Lots of cool stuff.
You'll never catch me doing that.
Scared of heights.
No, I think I've probably got a little too much freight, shall we say? I probably find because you're on one of those bungee rope things as you're going up, you'll probably find I come down a lot faster than I do going up.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I've got an update from Connie about the flamingos. She says that they use them to flock people. So you flock people's yards, and then you take the plastic flamingos and flock someone else. She recommends we Google it. Connie, when you say is that a euphemism for something? Flock?
I wonder.
Who knew it was such an actual thing?
I know.
It's
but it is an actual thing. Anyway, Matt, thank you very much for the update. Marvellous job. Tracy, do you have any titty bitties to get us out of the show? What do we got?
Yes, I've got 3 ones for you. I just wanted to remind you guys not to forget our other partner, #Maastricht. They're still around and doing lots of cool stuff. So check them out for lifestyle tips and fun in the city. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook. Give them a follow. They're very cool guys. Also, our other partner, Maastricht, the key to your city. Don't forget that they're still busy and they're out and about doing tours again now, which is very exciting. And one of the more recent ones they've added is Wednesday tours of the Sphinx area in Maastricht, which is actually quite so keep that in mind. It's every Wednesday. You can find out information online. And this weekend on Sunday, Lucy is doing Cycling the Castles bicycle tour. So you can check that out, see if there's anything for you there. All of the information is on their website. I will post the details later. And finally, we were chatting a bit this evening about expats and, the language barriers that might come in the beginning. If anyone is out there and feeling the need to de-stress after the year, weeks, months we've had, then why not consider trying some yoga classes in English? Now, my former yoga class where I used to go with the lovely Tanya, it's called Aruna Yoga, and they do offer obviously Dutch classes, but also English yoga, various forms and disciplines. They're available online, outdoors, and also on location. So maybe that's something to check out. You can go along for a lot or less, so you just pay as you go, or you can buy a Temple card, or you can just sign up for a few months and go once a week, twice a week, or whatever. So that could be something quite fun to think about as we move out of summer and into autumn. Oh my God.
Excellent stuff. Yes, it's going to be Christmas before we know it. Well, we've come to the end of the show. It's been fantastic having Sam on board. We've been talking about living here, what you have to do if you're going to move here. We've got registering, we've got buying houses, we've got healthcare, we've got all kinds of things that we've talked about this evening. So if you want to catch up on something that you may have missed, you'll find us on our YouTube channel. You can watch the show again whenever you like. We've had Matt back again. It's been so nice to have him back on the show. We've missed him the last few weeks with his flamingos. And just on that note, before we leave you tonight, because we will be back again, of course, next Thursday, but before we leave you, I just wanted to mention Connie has said she has been flocked several times. Oh, no wonder she's smiling. The long winter evenings must just fly by. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, especially Connie all the way from Oregon. We'll see you again next week. Thanks ever so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.